There comes a moment in every journey where the visible world seems painfully slow, where nothing appears to be shifting, and you wonder if all your inner work, your prayers, your imaginal discipline, your persistence has been in vain. But what you do not see is far more powerful than what you do. Behind the scenes, a reality you have already claimed is weaving itself into form with perfect precision. Life is not ignoring you. It is aligning itself with the state you have accepted as true. You must understand something profound. The outer world is the final echo, not the beginning. Every outcome, every breakthrough, every blessing is first born in the invisible. And once it exists within you, it must externalize, just as surely as a shadow must follow its source. So if right now the scene around you seems unchanged, don't mistake silence for stagnation. A seed does not sprout the moment it touches the soil, yet beneath the surface it is bursting, forming, preparing for the light. Your inner conversations, the assumptions you persist in despite appearances, are the blueprints of your unfolding life. If you hold the end so firmly that you feel it as real, then the world is obligated to reflect it. It has no choice. Reality bends to the one who refuses to surrender their inner state. This is why it is essential to keep going. Not because the path is hard, but because the harvest is already yours. You are merely walking to where it has been placed. Every day you persist, every moment you return to the end, every time you choose the feeling of fulfillment over the evidence of delay, you accelerate the process. You become aligned with what is meant for you. And let me remind you, the greatest movements happen when nothing seems to be happening at all. The phone call you need, the opportunity forming, the person deciding, the shift arranging, the doors preparing to open. All of this is in motion long before it reaches your senses. Life does not reveal the construction phase. It shows you only the finished product. That is why faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. So hold your vision, return to it often, live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Become the version of you who already has what you desire. When your inner state is consistent, your outer world must bow to it. It must reorganize itself to match the reality you have assumed. You are closer than you think. You are standing in the hallway between your old story and your new manifestation. And though hallways feel empty, they lead to rooms already prepared for you, and your unseen world is far more alive and active than you realize. While the external world appears to move at its own pace, the true work, the real orchestration of your life, is happening in the invisible realm. Every thought you think, every feeling you harbor, every assumption you carry quietly shapes the foundation upon which your future unfolds. It is easy to mistake the lack of immediate evidence as stagnation, but what is unseen operates on a timeline that does not conform to your impatience. The pieces are being arranged long before your senses perceive any movement, and the subtle mechanics of reality are quietly aligning themselves with the state you have embraced internally. The unseen world responds not to your fleeting desires or passing whims, but to the beliefs you hold as true. When you imagine a scene vividly and feel it as if it already exists, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of the invisible. That seed, nurtured by the consistency of your attention and feeling, begins to grow and organize itself into a pattern that must eventually manifest. The moment it takes form externally is not the beginning of its existence. It is merely the unveiling of what has already been completed behind the scenes. This is why it is so critical to guard your inner life, to protect it from doubt and distraction. The unseen does not negotiate. It obeys the laws of consciousness precisely. Often, life appears to lag, and the delay can tempt you to abandon your inner work. Yet, these pauses are never signs of failure. They are the quiet periods of construction, the moments when the threads of your desire are being woven together in ways too intricate for the human eye to detect. Like an artist meticulously sketching a masterpiece before the first stroke of color is visible, the unseen world is preparing the environment, the circumstances, and even the people who will serve your vision. Everything is moving, though it may feel as if nothing is. Understanding this requires a shift in perspective. You are not waiting for the world to act on your behalf. The world is responding to the state you inhabit. If your mind is scattered, your feelings inconsistent, your belief fragile, then the unseen will hesitate, adjust, or delay its work. But when you embody the reality you desire with unwavering conviction, every unseen element aligns, doors begin to open, opportunities appear, coincidences multiply, and what once seemed impossible starts to feel inevitable. The unseen world is patient and precise. It does not rush or stumble. It operates with perfect timing and infinite wisdom. Your role is not to force it or to constantly question it, but to maintain your state of faith, clarity, and inner knowing. The unseen has already completed what you seek. Your task is to persist in the awareness of that completion, to live as if it has already arrived, and to trust that the manifestation will follow naturally. Every delayed sign, every apparent obstacle is simply part of the unseen arrangement, orchestrating events, people, and circumstances with precision. When you grasp this truth, you move with serenity rather than anxiety, knowing that your desires are being fulfilled, even before the evidence is visible. The unseen is alive, responsive, and always working in your favor. The faith, persistence, and unwavering attention ensure that when the time is right, the evidence will finally appear, revealing the intricate work that has been quietly unfolding all along. Everything you experience in life begins as an assumption within your own consciousness. The thoughts you habitually entertain, the beliefs you quietly nurture, and the inner images you persistently dwell upon act as the architects of your external reality. Life does not randomly happen to you. It is a reflection of what you hold as true in your mind. Every circumstance, every relationship, every event is ultimately a mirror of your internal assumption. What you accept internally as real will inevitably manifest externally, because the world outside is merely a shadow of the world within. Assumptions are not just fleeting thoughts. They are powerful forces that shape the foundation upon which your entire life is built. When you assume something will occur, when you hold it as an inevitable reality, your subconscious mind begins to organize your experiences around that assumption. It aligns your actions, your perceptions, and even the behavior of others with the reality you have chosen internally. Conversely, doubts, fears, and contradictory assumptions produce a life that reflects uncertainty, struggle, and delay. The key lies not in the effort you expend outwardly, but in the consistency of the inner state you maintain. Persistence in your assumptions is the true measure of creative power. A single fleeting thought may spark an idea, but it is the continued, unwavering assumption of a desired outcome that establishes the stage on which your life unfolds. Like a director carefully planning every scene of a play, your internal assumptions dictate the scenery, the actors, and the sequence of events. If you persist in imagining success, fulfillment, and harmony, your external circumstances will gradually conspire to support that vision. If your assumptions are filled with lack, fear, or doubt, your environment will reflect the same. The universe does not argue with what you assume. It simply brings forth the circumstances that match your persistent inner state. The moment you realize that your inner world is the blueprint of your outer life, you gain control over the seemingly uncontrollable. You begin to see that external chaos is merely the result of conflicting or unexamined assumptions. By consciously choosing what you assume and maintaining that assumption with faith, you begin to reshape the stage of your life. You become the playwright, director, and lead actor in your own unfolding story. Each day, every thought, every feeling contributes to the setting, the plot, and the outcome. It is also essential to understand that this process does not always produce immediate results. The outer world must align with your inner assumption in its own time and manner, often beyond your immediate perception. Yet, the power of persistence ensures that no matter how long it takes, the life that corresponds to your inner assumption will manifest. Your assumption, held firmly and lived consistently, becomes a gravitational force, drawing circumstances, people, and events into alignment with your vision. The stage on which your life stands is not created by chance, effort, or external conditions. It is constructed entirely by what you assume and persist in internally. Your outer world is the inevitable reflection of your inner state. The clarity, consistency, and conviction with which you hold your assumptions determine not only the scenery and events, but also the quality of your entire life experience. To master your life, therefore, is to master your assumptions and persist in them with unwavering belief, knowing that the world around you will faithfully mirror the reality you have chosen within. Delays are often misunderstood. When something you deeply desire does not arrive as quickly as you expect, it is easy to assume that life is against you, that your dreams are slipping away, or that your efforts are in vain. Yet, delays are not denials. They are the hidden, quiet construction of your desire, the unseen preparation that must take place before the manifestation can appear in your physical reality. Every delay has a purpose. It is a sign that the process of creation is moving with precision unseen by your senses, and that the fulfillment of your desire is being meticulously arranged. The outer world operates on visible evidence, but the inner world operates on assumption, feeling, and faith. Your desires are first established in the invisible realm, and before they can be reflected outside, they require alignment at every level: mental, emotional, and spiritual. Delays are the silent period in which this alignment occurs. They are the time when circumstances are being ordered, opportunities are being prepared, and people and events are being guided into their proper positions. What appears as waiting or stagnation is actually an active, deliberate process in the unseen realm, working to bring your inner vision into exact harmony with reality. It is important to recognize that delays are not accidental. They occur because your desire is being perfected, because the timing must be right for the fullest expression of your vision. Rushing the process or succumbing to doubt can disrupt this delicate unfolding. On the other hand, Patience and persistence strengthen your inner alignment. Each day that you continue to embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, each moment you maintain faith instead of frustration, you are accelerating the unseen construction of your desire. The delay is simply a necessary stage, ensuring that what comes forth will be complete, abundant, and perfectly timed. Many fail to see the wisdom in delays because they judge reality by appearances alone. They expect immediate results and become anxious or discouraged when none arrive. But the truth is that what is coming for you is already finished in the unseen. It simply must follow the sequence of preparation before it can manifest visibly. Think of it like a building under construction. The framework, the plumbing, the wiring, all essential elements must be installed before the walls can be painted. To focus solely on the visible result is to miss the importance of the preparation happening behind the scenes. Understanding that delays are not denials allows you to maintain peace, clarity, and faith during the waiting period. You begin to see that every pause, every moment of apparent inactivity is actually a sign that your desire is being organized, refined, and brought into form with absolute precision. The unseen forces are working tirelessly, silently, and with perfect intelligence to deliver exactly what you have assumed and persisted in. So rather than becoming anxious or disheartened by the absence of immediate evidence, recognize that delays are a natural and necessary part of manifestation. They are the quiet construction, the meticulous preparation, and the invisible arrangement of all that you seek. When the time is right, your desire will appear, not as a fragment, but as the complete, fully formed reality that has been quietly constructed in your favor. Delays are simply the prelude to your ultimate victory, a reminder that the unseen world is always working, always building, and always bringing your dreams into perfect expression. For Albright, your inner state is the true cause of everything you experience, while outer circumstances are merely its shadow, a reflection of the reality you carry within. Too often, people look to the external world for evidence of their desires, believing that conditions must first change before they can feel fulfilled, confident, or happy. Yet this is a reversal of truth. It is not the world that creates your state. It is your state that creates the world. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions act as the invisible blueprint, and life itself obeys the patterns you maintain internally. What you see outside is always secondary. It is a mirror, an echo, a shadow cast by the inner reality you cultivate. This principle explains why two people can live in seemingly identical circumstances, yet experience life in completely different ways. One may see struggle and limitation, while the other sees opportunity and abundance. The difference is not in the external world, it is in the state each person occupies within. Your inner state is powerful because it determines how you interpret every event, how you respond to every situation, and how you attract experiences into your life. Outer circumstances cannot dictate your reality unless you allow them to influence your internal state. The outer world is consistent only with the inner world. If you persist in fear, doubt, or frustration, you will see evidence of these states reflected in your life. If you maintain a sense of certainty, faith, and fulfillment, the world will adjust accordingly. This does not mean that challenges disappear, but it does mean that your perception, response, and the ultimate outcome are shaped by the inner state you occupy. The shadow cannot act independently. It can only mirror, what is already established within. Understanding this shifts the locus of control from external events to your consciousness. Instead of reacting to what happens outside, you focus on what you hold inside. Your imagination, your assumptions, and your feelings become the instruments of creation. When you inhabit the end result, when you live and feel as if your desires are already realized, the outer world is compelled to correspond. It cannot resist the magnetic force of a sustained inner state. This is why the inner world must be treated with reverence and discipline, for it is the soil in which every experience grows. Many fail to grasp this because they equate seeing with believing. They wait for proof before they feel confident. They wait for circumstances before they feel worthy. They wait for opportunity before they feel successful. But this is backward. The proof always follows the cause. The seed must be planted, nurtured, and matured before the fruit appears. Your inner state is that seed, and the outer world is its inevitable harvest. By focusing on your inner state, you reclaim power over your life. You no longer depend on shifting circumstances to dictate your peace, your joy, or your fate. You cultivate a consciousness that generates its own reality, knowing that everything external is simply a reflection of what is firmly established within. Outer circumstances are powerless to resist a consistent inner state. They may wobble, they may resist temporarily, but eventually the shadow aligns perfectly with the light of your consciousness. To master your life, therefore, is to master your inner state. To shift your experience is not to battle external conditions, but to harmonize your mind, heart, and imagination with the reality you desire. When your inner state is unwavering, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Your inner world is the true cause. The outer world is merely its faithful shadow. When you refuse to fold, when you hold fast to your vision, your conviction, and your inner state despite every challenge or appearance of delay, reality has no choice but to bend toward your persistence. Persistence is not merely stubbornness or blind effort. It is a sustained inner assumption, a refusal to abandon the feeling of the end you desire. When you maintain this inner fidelity, the universe, which is always responsive to consciousness, begins to adjust, rearrange, and align everything in perfect accordance with the reality you have assumed. What seems immovable in the outer world cannot withstand the consistent pressure of an unwavering inner state. The world often tests your resolve. Appearances may suggest resistance. Circumstances may seem contrary, and people may fail to respond as you expect. These are not signs that your dream is impossible or that the universe is uncooperative. They are tests of your commitment, invitations to strengthen your inner state, and opportunities to demonstrate that your belief in the unseen is greater than your reliance on the visible. When you persist, when you refuse to fold, you are signaling to the unseen realm that your desire is no longer negotiable. This refusal to yield creates a magnetic force that reality cannot resist. Persistence operates on a level beyond effort or struggle. It is the unshakable awareness that what you desire is already yours in the unseen, and the determination to maintain that awareness regardless of outer appearances. Every thought, feeling, and action that aligns with this inner state adds pressure to reality. The outer world, which reflects your inner assumptions, is compelled to comply with the law of correspondence. In essence, the universe has no choice but to bend, slowly or suddenly, to match the reality you continue to inhabit internally. Many give up too soon because they are seduced by the evidence of their senses. They look at delays, obstacles, or a lack of visible progress and interpret it as failure. But the truth is that the unseen is always working. It is merely following its own timeline. The person who refuses to fold becomes a force of inevitability. Their steadfast inner assumption creates a momentum that the outer world must ultimately acknowledge. Doors open, opportunities present themselves, circumstances shift, and people respond, all as a natural consequence of inner persistence. Refusal to fold is not passive, it is active faith. It requires discipline to return repeatedly to the feeling of the end, to inhabit the reality you desire, even when external proof is absent. It requires courage to stand firm in your conviction while the world seems to resist. Yet this very act, this unwavering persistence, sets in motion the invisible currents that bring your desire into manifestation. The outer world may lag, it may challenge, and it may delay, but it cannot withstand the consistent, conscious pressure of a mind and heart aligned with their true desire. Persistence breaks through. What once appeared immovable yields. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Reality, which once seemed indifferent, now conspires in your favor. When you refuse to fold, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You become the magnet, the orchestrator, and the cause of the unfolding reality. The universe bends, rearranges, and cooperates. Not because it is forced, but because persistence and consciousness is the law to which all things must obey. Your steadfast refusal to fold ensures that the world outside becomes a faithful reflection of the unyielding truth you hold within. Everything you desire already exists. It is complete, whole, and perfect within the realm of your imagination. The fulfillment of your dreams is not something that is waiting to be created in the external world. It has already been formed in the invisible. What appears as delay, waiting, or struggle in the outer world is simply the unfolding of a process that has already been completed internally. You are not creating your desire from scratch. You are aligning yourself with a reality that already exists, walking toward the unveiling of what has been quietly perfected within your consciousness. To understand this, you must first recognize the power of the mind and imagination. Every circumstance, event, and experience in your life originates from your inner state. The desires you hold, the visions you entertain, and the assumptions you persist in are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. These seeds are not partial or incomplete. They exist as fully grown realities within the invisible. The act of imagining, feeling, and assuming is the acknowledgement that your desire is already a fact. The outer world simply takes time to conform to the internal truth you have established. The journey toward manifestation is a journey of alignment, not creation. You are not waiting for new conditions or external validations. You are walking into the realization of what has already been accomplished within. Your role is to embody the state of the wish fulfilled, to feel the joy, satisfaction, and completeness of your desire now, before the world presents it as evidence. By doing so, you create a magnetic field that draws the invisible into the visible, that brings the already finished into tangible form. Delays are not denials. They are simply the time it takes for the world outside to mirror what has been long completed inside. Many struggle because they look to the external world for confirmation. believing that fulfillment must appear first in their circumstances. They chase results, react to obstacles, and measure progress by appearances. This is a reversal of the natural order. The unseen is the cause, the seen is the effect. By living in alignment with the end result, by assuming it internally as already true, you set in motion the forces that allow the external world to catch up with the internal reality. You are walking along a path that has already been paved. Each step is a conscious participation in the manifestation of what is already complete. This perspective changes the way you respond to challenges, delays, and setbacks. You no longer see them as proof of lack, but as part of the natural unfolding of your finished desire. Patience is not passive. It is an active acknowledgement that the inner reality is already perfect. Every thought, every feeling, and every choice becomes an opportunity to reinforce the state of fulfillment you hold within. You are constantly moving toward the revelation, the unveiling, and the expression of that which exists invisibly but completely. And unlike the inherent enormity curse, which is that theft of your desires are not distant goals to be chased, they are present realities to be assumed. Everything you long for is already finished within you. The world outside is simply catching up to your inner truth. By maintaining faith, by living in the feeling of the end, and by walking with unwavering belief, you allow the external circumstances to align naturally with the perfection that already exists internally. You are not creating something new. You are witnessing the inevitable unveiling of what has long been complete. In conclusion, the journey of manifestation is not about forcing circumstances or chasing results. It is about cultivating the inner state that aligns with the reality you desire. Every delay, every unseen arrangement, and every challenge is simply part of the quiet orchestration happening behind the scenes. Your assumptions, persistence, and unwavering faith are the true forces shaping your life. When you hold your vision, embody the feeling of the end, and refuse to fold, reality has no choice but to respond. Everything you desire is already complete within. Your task is to maintain faith, stay aligned, and patiently walk toward its unveiling. The outer world is simply the reflection of your inner state, and as long as you remain steadfast, the manifestation of your desires is inevitable. Thank you for listening, and may you continue to trust the unseen and keep moving forward with faith and persistence. There are moments in life when the outer world seems quiet, almost still, yet something inside you knows a shift has already begun. You can feel it, not with your eyes, but with your awareness. There is a certainty rising, a quiet but powerful knowing that something big is aligning for you, something that will change the entire direction of your life. When the inner world moves, the outer world cannot remain the same. Reality must reorganize itself to match the state you now occupy. Things are moving into place quickly because your inner state has finally stabilized. You've stopped begging for change, and instead you've become the version of yourself that expects it. You are no longer waiting, you are embodying. This is the turning point most people miss. The moment you shift from wishing to knowing, everything accelerates. What once seemed distant suddenly begins to show itself in small signs, unexpected opportunities, new paths, and effortless opening. The outer is simply obeying the inner. You may not see the full picture yet, but the foundation is already built. The pieces are sliding into position with precision. The timing is being perfected. Events are rearranging themselves to serve the reality you have claimed within. You didn't force it. Your assumption did the work. Your conviction did the work. Your willingness to hold the feeling of the fulfilled desire did the work. You have been planting the seed in consciousness, and now the harvest is rushing toward you. Do not mistake the silence before the breakthrough as a lack of movement. Silence often means the universe is working at full speed behind the scenes. Think of it like the final lock clicking open, just before the door swings wide. You are closer than you imagine. You are standing at the edge of the moment where everything changes, where the unseen becomes seen and the long-awaited becomes your new normal. Something big is coming fast because you have already accepted it within yourself. You have shifted your identity, and your world must reflect that shift. Life has no choice but to show you the version of reality that matches your state of being. So stay faithful, stay grounded, stay aware of the power that is already working in your favor. Things are not just moving, they are moving quickly. The alignment has begun. The breakthrough has already started its journey toward you. Prepare your mind, your emotions, your expectations, and your environment, because the life you have imagined is no longer a distant possibility. It is unfolding. It is forming. It is approaching with speed. Something big is coming, and it's coming fast. Keep your inner world steady, and you will witness the outer world transform in ways that will leave you in awe. The moment you shift within, the world rushes to rearrange itself around your new state of being. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is the unseen law that governs every visible change in your life. Your inner world is the command center, the place where every outcome is first formed, long before it shows itself in the physical realm. Nothing changes out there until something changes in here. And the instant that inner change becomes real, emotionally, mentally, energetically, the external world begins to respond with a speed that often feels supernatural. This shift within is not a thought you repeat or a wish you make. It is the moment you become the version of yourself who already owns the outcome you desire. When you inhabit that state fully, even for a moment, the world around you detects it. Circumstances that once resisted you begin to soften, delays begin to dissolve. People show up, ideas come alive, opportunities reveal themselves, and what once felt impossible suddenly becomes reachable, believable, and eventually inevitable. This is one of the permanent symbols of purpose. This is because you are no longer interacting with life from the old version of yourself. The old state has lost its power, and the new one has taken over. Your outer world is always a mirror of who you are being internally. When your inner state is filled with doubt, fear, or uncertainty, life reflects that with obstacles, stagnation, and confusion. But the moment you shift into a state of certainty, where you no longer hope but know, the mirror must change its reflection. You don't have to force anything, push anything, or manipulate anything. The shift does the work. The state you occupy becomes the command that life must follow. And once that command is issued from within, the rearrangement begins. This rearrangement often happens quietly at first, behind the scenes. You may not see immediate evidence, but the movement has already started. It's like changing the direction of a river. The moment the course is redirected, the water follows. Your inner shift acts as that redirection. Reality flows toward the new state with precision and intelligence. Events that once seemed disconnected begin to form patterns. Coincidences multiply. Unexpected messages, breakthroughs, and alignments show up with timing so perfect that you cannot deny the shift has taken effect. What's most incredible is that the world does not simply respond to your new state, it reorganizes itself quickly. It rushes to meet you where you are now standing internally. This is why sudden breakthroughs often happen after long periods of nothingness. The world was waiting for you. The moment you shifted, life obeyed. So when you shift from lack to abundance, the opportunities for increase begin to appear. When you shift from insecurity to confidence, people respond with more respect and openness. When you shift from loneliness to self-worth, relationships that match your new state enter your life with ease. The world is always moving in harmony with your inner being. And when that inner being changes, the world moves swiftly to support it. What you assume as true forces all events to move in harmony with that assumption. This is one of the most profound truths about human experience, yet most people treat their assumptions as casual thoughts, rather than the powerful creative forces they are. An assumption is not a wish, not a hope, not even a belief. It is a quiet inner acceptance of something as fact, even before there is any evidence to support it. Once you adopt an assumption, whether consciously or unconsciously, your entire world begins to organize itself around that inner conviction. Assumptions are the seeds from which the events of your life grow. They form the lens through which you interpret the world and the filter through which life responds to you. When you assume that something is difficult, your mind will highlight obstacles. Your actions will reflect hesitation, and your environment will mirror resistance. When you assume that something is possible, doors begin to open, ideas come to you, people appear, and life seems to cooperate in unexpected ways. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to assume a new truth. This is because an assumption isn't merely a thought. It is a state of being. It shapes your emotions, your expectations, your behavior, and even the subtle signals you send out into your environment. Others respond to your assumptions without you ever speaking them. Circumstances bend themselves to align with them. Coincidences arrange themselves to confirm them, and your world becomes a reflection of the assumption you have chosen to hold. When you assume success, you begin to carry yourself differently. Your energy becomes more confident. You speak with greater clarity. You take actions you would have avoided under the assumption of failure. Because of this inner shift, people respond to you with more trust, opportunities appear more naturally, and situations that once felt heavy begin to flow with ease. Your assumption has commanded life to adjust itself in your favor. Likewise, assuming abundance creates a state of gratitude, openness, and expectation. This state draws circumstances that match it. Financial breakthroughs, new possibilities, and unexpected blessings start to appear, not because the world suddenly changed on its own, but because your assumption changed and the world is obeying it. The same is true with relationships. When you assume you are valued, loved, or worthy, the world reflects that truth back to you. When you assume the opposite, the world reflects that too. Life is not deciding for you. Your assumptions are deciding the quality of your experiences. Your assumption is the silent request you send to the universe, and the universe fulfills it with perfect precision. What you assume becomes the script that reality follows. It is the inner command that tells every event, every person, and every circumstance how to behave in your world. Nothing can resist a deeply held assumption because it is rooted in your state of consciousness, the creative core of your being. When you deliberately choose an assumption that aligns with your highest vision, life has no choice but to cooperate. Acceleration begins the instant your inner conviction becomes stronger than your outer doubts. This is the moment everything changes, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you stop giving your power to appearances. Doubt is an outer voice, conviction is an inner authority. When conviction finally outweighs doubt, something shifts in your consciousness that sends a clear signal to life. This is who I am now. This is what I accept as mine. From that point forward, events begin to move at a speed that surprises you. The world starts catching up to the identity you have already embraced within yourself. Outer doubts come from what you can see, what you have experienced, and what others have told you. They are rooted in the past and cling to the old version of you. They whisper limitations, delays, and reasons why your desire might not unfold. But inner conviction comes from a deeper place, a place untouched by the past and undisturbed by the senses. Conviction is knowing without seeing, claiming without proof, and feeling the end result as already real, even when nothing around you has changed. When this inner conviction becomes stronger than the voice of doubt, alignment begins. This is the turning point. Before this moment, your desire may feel like a distant idea, something you hope for but don't fully inhabit. Doubts tug at your energy, slowing everything down. You shift between belief and disbelief, between certainty and fear. But the moment you cross that inner threshold, when conviction becomes your dominant state, you no longer waver. You no longer look outside for confirmation. You create the confirmation within. And because the inner world is the cause, the outer world must follow. Acceleration happens because conviction stabilizes your state of being. You stop contradicting yourself. You stop sending mixed signals into your reality. Instead of maybe, hopefully, or someday, you step into this is mine, this is done, this is who I am. That clarity acts like a command. Life responds not to your wishes but to your certainty. And once that certainty is established, the universe rearranges itself with speed and precision. Sudden opportunities appear. Ideas that were once blurry become clear. People you need cross your path at the exact right time. What once seemed impossible now feels natural. The momentum you've been waiting for begins, not because the world changed on its own, but because you changed the world from within. Your conviction created a gravitational pull that draws your desire toward you and draws you toward it. Outer doubt has no real power once conviction takes over. It may still whisper, but it cannot dominate. Your inner state becomes the strongest force in your life, and that force pushes everything forward. Acceleration is the byproduct of inner alignment. When you no longer question whether it will happen, you create the conditions for it to happen quickly. The moment your inner conviction outweighs your outer doubts, life stops delaying and starts delivering. The path clears, the momentum builds, and the reality you once chased begins moving rapidly in your direction. Life reshuffles itself rapidly when you hold the feeling of the fulfilled desire as your only reference point. This means you stop measuring your progress by what the outer world shows and start measuring it solely by the internal state you choose to inhabit. The fulfilled desire becomes your internal home, your emotional foundation. And once you occupy that state consistently, reality begins reorganizing itself with remarkable speed to match it. The shift is subtle at first, but powerful. You are no longer reacting to conditions. You are directing them. Holding the feeling of the fulfilled desire is not merely daydreaming or imagining occasionally. It is a deep emotional alignment where you carry yourself as though the thing you seek is already a part of your life. You think from the outcome rather than about it. You respond to life as the person who already has it. You speak, move, and feel from the version of yourself who has crossed the finish line. This inner acceptance sends a clear message to the world. This is my truth now. And once that message is consistent, life has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. Most people look to the outside world for reassurance. They wait for a sign, a step, or a piece of evidence before they allow themselves to feel certain. But the world is a mirror, and mirrors reflect, they do not originate. When you make the fulfilled desire your main emotional reference, you bypass the need for outer validation. You give the mirror a new image to reflect. You plant a new seed in consciousness, and the outer world begins to reconfigure around that seed. This is why change can happen so quickly once you stabilize the feeling. Your inner state becomes the blueprint, and events begin shifting rapidly to match it. Opportunities emerge that were invisible before. People respond to you differently because your energy has changed. Circumstances that once felt stuck begin to move with surprising fluidity. It can feel as though life itself wakes up and starts cooperating with you, aligning pieces you didn't even realize were connected. The world must respond because you are no longer oscillating between doubt and belief. You are no longer checking the physical world to see how things are going. Instead, you return again and again to the emotional reality of it is done. You hold the inner experience so firmly that the outer world becomes the student, not the teacher. It learns from your internal certainty and rushes to imitate it. This feeling of fulfillment has a magnetic power. It draws matching circumstances toward you while dissolving anything that contradicts it. The delays you once experienced were not because life was slow, but because your internal reference point kept shifting. Once you choose a single reference, the fulfilled desire, and remain loyal to it, acceleration begins naturally. Life reshuffles itself rapidly because it is designed to follow your dominant inner state. When you choose a state of completion, the world reorganizes itself to present you with the physical form of what you have already accepted within. This is the secret behind every sudden breakthrough. The inner world changed first, and the outer world had no choice but to follow. Your unseen inner movement is already causing visible outer movement. Every piece is falling exactly where it belongs, even when it appears that nothing is happening. Even when your outer circumstances seem still, your inner world is already activating the shift. Every assumption you hold, every feeling you dwell in, every quiet expectation you nurture is influencing the structure of your reality. The outer world does not move on its own. It moves in response to the silent decisions you make within yourself. And the moment you shift internally, the world begins adjusting, reorganizing, and aligning, whether you can perceive it or not. Inner movement is subtle. It's a quiet change in your attitude, the shift in your self-concept, the moment you begin to think from the end rather than toward it. It's the second you stop worrying about how things will unfold and instead assume that they already have. This inner stance, even if invisible to others, carries immense creative power. It sends out a signal that life must obey, because the outer world is only a reflection of your internal state. The shift within is the cause. The movement outside is the effect. Sometimes you only recognize this truth in hindsight, You look back and realize that small coincidences, unexpected conversations, unusual impulses, and perfectly timed events were actually signs that your inner movement had already been set in motion. You begin to see that nothing was random. Every piece was adjusting itself to serve the new reality you had accepted internally. Paths you didn't even know existed begin to open. People who were irrelevant before suddenly become important. Situations that once felt like obstacles reposition themselves as stepping stones. The rearrangement is precise, intelligent, and often astonishing. You might not see the full picture yet, but the rearrangement is already taking place. It's like watching a puzzle form, not from the edges, but from the center. At first, it seems chaotic, and you can't always make sense of the pieces. But slowly, the fragments begin to connect, and the picture becomes clearer. The same is true in your life. Your unseen inner movement is guiding the outer pieces into order, ensuring that everything aligns with your new state of being. This is why persistence in your inner world matters so deeply. Even when the outer world looks unchanged, you must remember that movement is happening beneath the surface. Foundations are shifting. Paths are being carved. People are being guided. Circumstances are being rearranged. What looks like silence is often the moment of most intense activity behind the scenes. Life is placing each piece precisely where it needs to be for your desired outcome to unfold. Trust this process. Trust the invisible. Trust the movement you can feel but cannot yet see. Every piece is falling exactly where it belongs, not by luck or chance, but because your inner world has instructed the outer world to align with the state you now occupy. When you move within, life must move without. What you have claimed internally is already becoming real externally. The unseen has already begun to take form. When your intention is clear and your inner state is anchored, manifestation stops being slow and becomes inevitable. Most people struggle not because their desires are too large, but because their inner world is scattered. They want one thing, fear another, expect something else, and react emotionally to whatever circumstances they see around them. This divided inner state creates friction, confusion, and stagnation. But once your intention becomes unmistakably clear, when you decide what you want and stop wavering, and once your inner state stabilizes around that decision, everything begins to accelerate. Manifestation becomes a natural consequence, not a distant hope. Clarity of intention is powerful. It cuts through doubt and eliminates the noise. A clear intention is a command, not a request. It is the moment you choose a direction with such conviction that your whole being aligns with it. When your intention is scattered, your energy is scattered. But when your intention is unified, your energy becomes a force. You stop contradicting your desire with fear or second guessing. You stop looking to the outer world to reassure you. You stop wondering if you're on the right path. Instead, you create the path internally, and the outer world forms around it. Anchoring your inner state means emotionally living in the reality of your fulfilled desire. You stop checking for signs and start embodying the outcome. You hold the feeling of already having what you want, and that feeling becomes your home base, your default state. Anchoring yourself in that emotional certainty is what turns manifestation from a slow process into an inevitable one. The outer world must mirror the state you maintain consistently. It cannot resist the clarity of your inner stance. When your inner state is anchored, doubt loses its influence. Fear loses its voice. External circumstances lose their power to sway you. You become steady, immovable, aligned. And this steadiness is the catalyst for rapid change. The universe responds to clarity and consistency. because these qualities signal that you have already shifted your identity. You are no longer someone who is trying to get something. You are someone who has already become the version of yourself who possesses it. Reality bends to this version of you because your state defines your experience. Once both clarity and anchoring are present, manifestation speeds up because you are no longer sending mixed signals. Your inner world is not pulling in one direction while your fears pull in another. Instead, everything within you points toward the same outcome. This internal alignment creates momentum. It draws events, opportunities, people, timing, and paths directly toward you. It eliminates the delays caused by doubt and indecision. Manifestation becomes inevitable because you are now living from the end, not toward it. You are no longer hoping for change. You have become the change. You no longer seek confirmation. You provide it within yourself. You no longer wait. You claim. Once your inner world becomes aligned, the outer world becomes obedient. It must reflect the state you hold consistently, and it does so with increasing speed. When intention is clear and your inner state is anchored, manifestation isn't something you chase. It's something that unfolds. It becomes natural, effortless, and unavoidable. In the end, everything you seek begins and ends within you. The outer world is only the reflection, never the cause. The moment you shift inside, your assumptions, your feelings, your inner conviction, life begins to reorganize itself in ways you could never predict. What once felt slow becomes swift. What once felt distant begins moving toward you with speed and precision. Every inner movement creates an outer echo. And when you anchor yourself in the state of fulfillment, the world cannot help but deliver the physical form of what you have already accepted as true. You are not waiting for life. Life is waiting for your alignment. Once your intention is clear and your inner state is steady, manifestation becomes a matter of inevitability, not possibility. Everything begins to fall into place, exactly how it must, exactly when it must. The unseen becomes seen, the imagined becomes real, and the reality you once longed for becomes the life you live. There comes a moment in every person's journey when the noise quiets, the doubts dissolve, and a deep inner knowing rises. A knowing that says, "This is it. My time has come." This moment is not random. It is not luck, coincidence, or chance. It is the result of a quiet transformation that happened inside you long before anything changed around you. Things are finally coming together because you have come together. The scattered thoughts, the conflicting feelings, the wavering identity, all of it has settled. You are no longer divided within yourself. You are aligned, centered, and clear. And the moment you became clear, life began to rearrange itself around that clarity. You may not have noticed it at first. The shifts were subtle. Doors that once stayed shut began to budge. People who once overlooked you started paying attention. Opportunities that were nowhere to be found began appearing, like stepping stones beneath your feet. This is what happens when the inner world changes. The outer must obey. You have stepped into a higher assumption about yourself. Not the old version that doubted, waited, or questioned, but the version that already possesses, already succeeds, already lives the life they once dreamed of. From that state, everything begins to align. There were times you wondered if anything was working, times you questioned whether the silence meant no, times you fought thoughts of giving up because nothing seemed to move. But the truth is, things were moving all along, just not yet in the physical world. The shifts were happening in the unseen, in the intangible, in the inner realm where all creation begins. And now the inner has reached completion, now the outer must reflect it. This is why everything is suddenly falling into place so effortlessly. This is why breakthroughs are showing up faster, why conversations are shifting, why people are responding differently, why opportunities that should have taken months are appearing in days. Your time has come because you have finally become the version of yourself that your desires belong to. You are no longer hoping, you are knowing. You are no longer wishing, you are embodying. You are no longer reaching, you are receiving. And this is the moment life responds with acceleration. Things that once took great effort now unfold naturally. The guidance you need shows up without being summoned. The right people enter without being chased. The path ahead lights up without being forced. This is the power of inner alignment. Your time has come. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you changed. You elevated your assumption, strengthened your inner certainty, and claimed the reality that was already yours in the unseen. Now, it must materialize. So as everything comes together, do not shrink. Do not question whether you deserve this. Do not doubt whether it's real. You created this through your inner mastery. Walk forward with the calm confidence of someone who knows it was always going to be me, it was always going to be now. My time has finally come. Everything shifts the moment you shift within. The world you see, the experiences you meet, the opportunities that appear or disappear, all of it begins with the vibration of your inner state. Most people believe life is happening to them from the outside in, as if circumstances contain the power and we are merely reacting to whichever way they move. But the truth is far deeper and infinitely more empowering. The outer world is only echoing your inner conviction. Life is not responding to your wishes or your words. It is responding to the quiet, steady knowing you hold within yourself. When your inner world is unsettled, uncertain, or divided, the outer world mirrors that confusion. You see delays, contradictions, mixed signals, and moments that make you question whether you're on the right path at all. But the moment something inside of you stabilizes, when doubt softens and certainty rises, everything begins to realign itself to match that new state. It's not magic, and it's not coincidence. It is the natural law of creation at work. What you assume to be true within becomes the blueprint for what unfolds outside. Your new inner certainty is the silent architect of this change. It is not loud or dramatic. It is not forced. It is a stillness, a calmness, a deep sense of I know. And when that knowing becomes your dominant inner tone, reality has no choice but to reshape itself accordingly. Things you once struggled to access begin to appear without effort. People who once overlooked you suddenly recognize you. Opportunities that felt distant draw near, as if pulled by an unseen magnet. This is not because the world suddenly became kinder. It is because you finally became aligned with what you were seeking. Every moment in your life is a reflection of the assumptions you hold deep within. When you believed something was too hard, life mirrored that belief with obstacles. When you believed success was for others, you experienced the distance of being on the outside looking in. But the moment you shifted your inner story, when you began to carry yourself as someone worthy, capable, destined, life began rearranging itself to affirm that new identity. This is why inner work is the most powerful work you can ever do. Changing circumstances without changing yourself only leads to temporary results. But changing your inner conviction changes everything. Suddenly, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop doubting and start knowing. You stop waiting and start receiving. What once felt like resistance becomes flow. Your new inner certainty is not just a feeling, it is a signal. It is the vibration that tells life, this is who I am now. And life responds with obedience. It aligns people, moments, and events to confirm the truth you've claimed within yourself. So when things begin to shift around you, understand that it is not random. It is your inner transformation rippling outward. It is your new belief stepping into form. It is the physical world reshaping itself to honor the new version of you. Everything shifts because you shifted, and now the world is catching up to the truth you finally accepted within. What you assume as true begins to organize your reality. Your assumptions are not fleeting thoughts or momentary wishes. They are the quiet, persistent beliefs you hold beneath the surface, beliefs that shape your posture, your expectations, your emotional tone, and the way you move through the world. These assumptions operate like the foundation of a building, invisible, yet supporting everything that stands above them. Life responds not to what you say you want, but to what you deeply assume is yours. And when that assumption changes, everything around you must eventually rise to match it. Your time has come because you have begun to live in the feeling of already having what you once longed for. This shift is monumental, not because the outer world immediately changes, but because your inner world finally aligns with the reality you desire. Desire alone creates longing, but assumption creates possession. When you shift from wanting something to assuming it is already yours, even before it arrives, you move into the state that allows it to manifest. This is not pretending, and it is not wishful thinking. It is inhabiting the emotional atmosphere of your fulfilled desire. You begin to carry yourself differently. You think from the end rather than about the end. You make decisions from a place of confidence rather than fear. You speak differently, not to convince yourself, but because the old story no longer fits you. This inner shift is what organizes your reality. It rearranges circumstances in ways you could never manually control. The people you meet, the opportunities that unfold, the doors that open, they all begin to align with the state you now occupy. You don't have to chase anything when your assumption is already set. Your new reality begins to gravitate toward you. Living in the feeling of already having it changes the atmosphere of your life. Instead of looking for proof, you become the proof. Instead of needing reassurance, you become the reassurance. Instead of hoping things will work out, you naturally expect them to. This expectation is not forced. It is a quiet inner knowing that bubbles up from your new identity. Your new assumption becomes a magnet, drawing to you everything that matches it. This is why your time has come. You have stopped living as the version of yourself who waits, doubts, and wonders. You are now living as the version who possesses, receives, and experiences. When you live from this state long enough, your outer world must fulfill it, because the outer world cannot contradict a deeply held inner assumption. The universe, life, reality, whatever name you give it, is not withholding anything from you. It is simply matching your internal state. And because you've stepped into the state of already having, life must now reflect that back to you. The path is clearing, the momentum is building, and everything is shifting because you made the shift first. Your time has come, not because of luck, timing, or chance, but because you have aligned yourself with the version of life you have wanted all along. And once you assume something as true, reality begins its quiet, unstoppable work of shaping itself around that truth. Your desire was never denied, only waiting for your inner readiness. Every longing, every dream, every vision that stirred in your heart was never placed there to tease you or torment you. Desire is the language of your deeper self, the whisper of your future calling you forward. It is not random, nor is it accidental. The things you truly desire are the things that already belong to you in potential form. The only question has always been, are you internally prepared to receive them? Many people interpret delays as denials, but delay is often the period in which you grow into the version of yourself who can hold the very thing you asked for. It's not about being worthy, you already are. It's about being aligned. If your inner world is filled with doubt, fear, or contradiction, the desire cannot land because the foundation isn't steady enough to support it. But the moment your inner readiness develops, the moment your emotions, assumptions, and self-concept stabilize, the desire that once seemed far away begins to draw near. Life is always responding to who you are being, not just what you are wanting. Your desire was never out of reach. It was simply waiting for you to become the version of yourself who could live in that reality naturally. When you were filled with hesitation, the path was unclear. When you questioned your worthiness, the opportunities felt distant. When you doubted the possibility, everything seemed blocked. But as you grew internally, the outer world began to soften, shift, and reconfigure itself. Now that you've stabilized the state, the path is opening effortlessly. Stabilizing the state means you no longer dip in and out of the feeling of your desire. It has become your home, your emotional baseline. You no longer cling to it in desperation or reach for it in fear. You live from it. You breathe from it. You operate as though it is already yours, because in the unseen realm, it is. And from that stabilized inner world, everything begins to unfold with ease. The effort you once tried to exert is no longer necessary. The chasing stops, the forcing stops. The struggle dissolves. What replaces it is flow, the gentle and natural unfolding of events that align perfectly with your new inner identity. People show up unexpectedly, conversations shift in your favor, opportunities seem to find you without any strain. This ease is not coincidence, it is the consequence of alignment. When your inner and outer reality match, there is no resistance. The path opens because the energy that once tangled and blocked it has disappeared. You are no longer trying to pull something toward you. You are allowing what is already yours to meet you. Your readiness has created the opening. Your inner stability has created the clarity. And now the desire that once felt distant is approaching with speed and precision. The path ahead is not being created in front of you. It is being revealed. You were never denied. You were being prepared. And now that the preparation is complete, manifestation becomes the most natural next step. Life responds to your dominant inner sentence. Every person carries within them a quiet, persistent narrative. An inner sentence that repeats itself beneath every thought, every action, and every reaction. This sentence is not always spoken aloud, but it is deeply felt. It colors the way you interpret events, the way you perceive opportunities, and the way you see yourself. It becomes the subconscious script that life mirrors back to you. If your dominant inner sentence has been rooted in fear, lack, or uncertainty, then life has faithfully reflected those states in the form of delays, challenges, or missed opportunities. Not to punish you, but because your inner world is the blueprint from which your outer world is built. The moment your inner dialogue changed from doubt to certainty, everything around you started shifting. Inner dialogue is powerful because it carries the emotional frequency that shapes your reality. Doubt whispers, maybe it won't happen. Certainty declares, it is already mine. Doubt creates hesitation and mixed signals. Certainty creates alignment and movement. When your inner voice was divided, one part of you hoping for the best, while another part feared the worst, your energy sent out conflicting messages, and your life reflected that confusion. Progress felt slow, opportunities were inconsistent, nothing seemed to fully take form. But something profound happened when your inner sentence shifted. When the voice within you softened its fears, released its questions, and embraced a sense of calm knowing, the outer world began responding immediately. You may not have realized it at first. The changes might have been subtle. A conversation that suddenly turned in your favor, an opportunity you didn't expect, a feeling of flow replacing what once felt forced. But these shifts were direct reflections of your new inner tone. Certainty is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and deeply convincing. It is the feeling of settling into the truth of who you are and what belongs to you. Once your inner dialogue adopted that tone, life began to reorganize itself to affirm that truth. People responded differently because you were showing up differently. Circumstances that were once dormant gained momentum because your energy no longer resisted them. Possibilities expanded because your mind no longer rejected them. This inner shift is more powerful than any external action. A single change in your dominant inner sentence can achieve more than months of effort driven by fear. When you say within yourself, "I know it's mine," the universe responds with alignment. When you say, "I trust what is unfolding," life responds with clarity. When you say, "I am ready," opportunities begin to move toward you. The world is always listening to the quiet script within you. That script sets the tone for what you attract, what you notice, and what unfolds. Your new inner certainty has created coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, and assumptions now speak the same language. And life mirrors that unity back to you through synchronicities, breakthroughs, and unexpected blessings. Everything shifting around you isn't random. It is the echo of the new sentence you've declared within. As you continue to speak certainty through your inner world, reality will continue to rise to meet it. You are no longer chasing. Life is coming toward you. There comes a pivotal moment in your inner evolution when the energy that once compelled you to run after things begins to dissolve. The anxiety of needing to make something happen, the pressure of trying to force an outcome, the constant feeling of reaching for something just out of grasp, all of that begins to fall away the moment you shift into alignment with your true, fulfilled self. Chasing is a symptom of believing the thing you want is separate from you. When you feel disconnected, uncertain, or unworthy, you try to pull your desire toward you through effort, struggle, or persistence. But when you step into the consciousness of someone who already possesses what they seek, the dynamic changes entirely. You no longer chase because there is nothing to chase. You have become the magnet for what once felt far away. Life is coming toward you now because your energy no longer contradicts your desire. Instead of operating from lack, you are operating from fulfillment. Instead of moving from fear, you are moving from identity. And identity is powerful, far more powerful than effort. When your inner state reflects the version of you who already has the success, the relationship, the breakthrough, or the opportunity, life must meet that state. It begins aligning people, circumstances, and timing to match the reality you are embodying. This alignment creates a natural gravitational pull, drawing what belongs to you toward you without strain or force. What was once difficult is now flowing because you finally aligned with the version of yourself who already succeeded. When you lived in a state of wanting, everything felt uphill. Every step required extra strength. Every opportunity seemed to resist you. You tried to think positively, work harder, or stay disciplined, but none of it felt effortless. That is because you were attempting to build a reality that did not yet match your inner self-concept. You were trying to create from misalignment. But now you are creating from identity. You have stepped into the state of the winner, the receiver, the accomplished one. Instead of striving, you are expressing. Instead of hoping, you are knowing. And in this state, life rearranges itself without you needing to push it. Flow replaces friction, guidance appears without being summoned, solutions unfold without being forced. Doors open not because you knocked harder, but because you finally approached them as the version of yourself who belongs on the other side. Alignment creates ease because it removes internal contradiction. The version of you who already succeeded does not doubt, fear, or question. They move with calm expectancy. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They attract what others try to chase. When you embody that state, you step into the natural rhythm of manifestation. The rhythm where things unfurl gracefully, where timing works in your favor, where the right people appear at exactly the right moment. Life is coming toward you because you have stepped into your truth. You have ended the chase by ending the belief that you were ever behind. Now you stand as the version of yourself who already holds the victory, and the world is simply catching up to the identity you have claimed. The harvest is here because the seed has matured. Everything you have been nurturing within yourself, your intentions, your visions, your prayers, your silent expectations, has been growing quietly beneath the surface, even in moments when you couldn't see any outward progress. Just like a seed buried in the soil, the earliest stages of growth happen in the dark, away from your awareness, where roots take shape long before the first sprout emerges. For a long time, it may have looked as if nothing was happening. You questioned the process, doubted the timing, wondered if the effort was worth it. But beneath the stillness, your desire was strengthening, expanding, and preparing itself to break through. Now the seed has matured. What once required faith is now ready to become visible form. The harvest is not a surprise, it is the natural result of everything that has been building inside you. The clarity you gained, the emotional stability you cultivated, the assumptions you shifted into, all of these became the nutrients that allowed your desire to grow strong. You were never waiting for life. Life was waiting for your inner world to match the magnitude of what you asked for. Nothing was wasted. Every setback, delay, and detour has brought you to this moment of unfolding. It is easy to look back at moments of frustration and see them as wasted time. It is easy to interpret delays as failures or obstacles as signs to give up. But every single one of those experiences was shaping you, refining you, and preparing you to receive what you were asking for at a deeper level. What felt like rejection was actually redirect. What felt like stagnation was silent growth. What felt like endings were disguised beginnings. Setbacks strengthened your resilience. Delays deepened your patience and trust. Detours taught you to listen to your inner guidance instead of relying solely on logic or appearances. Each moment contributed to your evolution, pushing you closer to the version of yourself who could stand confidently in this season of receiving. Without those experiences, you would not have the clarity, strength, or alignment you hold today. This moment, this unfolding, is the culmination of everything you once questioned. The path that seemed confusing is now revealing its purpose. The frustration that once drained you is now part of the story that empowers you. The disappointments that once felt like closed doors were actually nudges directing you towards something better, aligned with your true nature. The harvest arrives when you become a match to the thing you planted, and you have become that match. You have grown into the version of yourself who can receive, sustain, and expand upon what is coming. What once felt distant now feels natural. What once required faith now feels inevitable. The season of waiting has transformed into the season of fulfillment. You are stepping into a moment where everything begins to align, because it is finally time. The seed is ready. The path is clear. The harvest is here, and you are fully prepared to receive it. In the end, everything you've witnessed, every shift, every breakthrough, every moment of clarity has come from the transformation that took place within you. The world around you is now reflecting the certainty, alignment, and readiness you have finally claimed. You are no longer waiting for your time, you are living in it. You have stepped into the version of yourself who succeeds, who receives, who embodies the life they once envisioned from afar. This is your season of alignment, your season of unfolding, your season of harvest. Nothing was accidental, nothing was wasted. Every moment prepared you, strengthened you, and molded you into the person capable of holding the very blessings that are now emerging. Your time has come, not by chance, but by the inner work you mastered, the assumptions you shifted, and the truth you finally accepted about who you are. As you move forward, carry this certainty with you. Remain rooted in the state you have cultivated. Continue to walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows life is responding in your favor. The breakthroughs you see now are only the beginning. The momentum has started, and the unfolding will continue in ways that exceed your imagination. Thank you for listening. May you step boldly into everything that is now arriving for you. Your time has truly come. I want you to feel this deep truth in your heart. Things are moving faster than you realize, and everything is working out for you. The currents of life are aligning in ways unseen, and the moment you've been waiting for is closer than ever. The universe, the unseen power within you, is orchestrating every detail for your highest good. Even if it doesn't seem obvious now, the signs are everywhere, silently confirming that your breakthrough is near. Imagine the life you desire as if it has already arrived. Feel it in your mind, see it clearly, and live with that sense of fulfillment now. The mind is the builder, and reality is merely the reflection of your inner state. When you hold the feeling of your desire already accomplished, the outer world cannot help but respond. Doubt may whisper, impatience may try to creep in, but know that these are distractions. The key is to remain steadfast in your inner conviction. Notice the small miracles happening around you. An unexpected call, a sudden opportunity, a conversation that shifts everything. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that your reality is changing, that your desired outcome is drawing near. Pay attention to them. Acknowledge them. Let them remind you that you are on the right path. Act, but act from inspired assurance, not from fear or desperation. Every step you take in faith strengthens the movement of life toward you. Sometimes the smallest actions taken with confidence have the greatest impact. Trust your intuition. It is your guide through the unseen currents shaping your reality. Know this, something big is coming, bigger than your plans, bigger than your expectations. The moment you have prepared for is approaching, and the universe is ready to deliver it in ways you may not yet imagine. Stay ready, stay aware, and maintain your inner sense of fulfillment. The faster you embrace this feeling, the faster life will respond. Everything is working out, everything is moving. And very soon, you will look back and marvel at how swiftly, how perfectly everything aligned to bring you the reality you have long imagined. Everything in your life is already moving toward the fulfillment of your desires. Even if your outer circumstances appear chaotic or uncertain, there is a perfect order operating behind the scenes, guiding every event, every encounter, and every moment toward what you have imagined. The universe or the creative power within you is never idle. It is always working, always orchestrating, always aligning. Nothing happens by accident. Every person you meet, every opportunity that appears, every challenge you face is part of a larger, invisible design that is working for your highest good. When you understand this, you realize that there is no need to push or force things to happen. The power that has placed your desire in your heart is already ensuring that it is in motion. You must learn to trust this unseen orchestration. Your imagination is the key to this trust. When you hold a clear vision of what you want, when you feel the reality of it as if it is already present, you are aligning yourself with the natural flow that brings it into manifestation. Doubts and fears are simply signals that you are looking at the outer world instead of the inner truth. The outer world is slow to reflect what is already accomplished in the mind, but it cannot resist the persistence of a living imagination. What you see with your mind's eye, what you feel in your heart, is already real. The forces of life have begun to adjust, to bend, and to shape circumstances in accordance with that reality. Consider for a moment how often life has worked this way without you even noticing. Opportunities arrived at the perfect time, people appeared exactly when you needed them, and solutions emerged just when things seemed impossible. These are not random coincidences. They are evidence of the alignment that is always taking place. The universe responds to the state of consciousness when you maintain the feeling of fulfillment, when you believe without hesitation that your desire is already yours. The world conforms to that inner certainty. Every event, every encounter, every turn of fortune is part of a larger tapestry, weaving itself in perfect harmony with your imagination. The key is to stop resisting, to stop trying to control the how of things, and to embrace the faith that everything is already aligned. Release anxiety, impatience, and worry, for these are distractions from the creative power that is working tirelessly on your behalf. Instead, rest in the assurance that your desire is in motion, that every unseen force is contributing to its fulfillment. Hold the vision, feel it as real, and trust that the unfolding is perfect. Life does not hurry, yet everything is moving faster than you realize. What you have called into existence is already on its way, and the alignment that is occurring now is setting the stage for a manifestation so perfect that it will surpass all expectations. To assume the feeling of fulfillment is to step into a reality that does not yet exist in your physical world, but already exists in your imagination. The mind is the creative force, and the world outside is merely a reflection of your inner state. When you live as if your desire has already been realized, you set into motion a process that draws that reality into your experience. It is not enough to wish, hope, or dream about your breakthrough. You must embody it fully in every thought, every emotion, and every action. See yourself living the life you desire. Feel the joy, the relief, the excitement, and the peace that come with its fulfillment. Let that feeling permeate your being so completely that there is no doubt it is already yours. Many people make the mistake of waiting for external proof before allowing themselves to feel success, happiness, or abundance. They look at their circumstances and say, "I cannot feel fulfilled until this happens," not realizing that it is the reverse. The feeling must come first. Your breakthrough is drawn to the state of consciousness you inhabit. By assuming the feeling of fulfillment now, you are planting a seed that the universe cannot ignore. Every thought, every image, every emotion aligned with that fulfillment is a signal to life that this reality is not hypothetical, it is already fact. Visualization alone is not enough, it must be accompanied by genuine emotion. Emotion is the fuel that powers creation. When you truly feel the reality of your desire, your vibration aligns with it and the outer world begins to adjust. Circumstances, people, and events begin to converge to match the inner state you have assumed. It is a natural law. The outer world always conforms to the dominant feeling within. By feeling your breakthrough is already accomplished, you create a magnetic pull that draws it closer, and obstacles lose their power over you because you are no longer defined by them. Living in this fulfilled state does not mean ignoring the present or denying challenges. It means acknowledging where you are while holding firmly to where you are going. You act in the world from a place of confidence, assurance, and inner satisfaction rather than fear, doubt, or desperation. Your actions become inspired, and opportunities that align with your assumed state appear effortlessly. People, situations, and even time itself begin to work in your favor. The key is persistence. Your breakthrough may not appear overnight, but the longer you dwell in the state of fulfillment, the faster life aligns to mirror it. Make it real in your imagination each day. Feel it deeply and carry it with you in every interaction, every decision, every thought. In doing so, you create a vibrational reality that cannot be denied. The world will bend, circumstances will shift, and very soon, the life you have assumed will manifest naturally and perfectly, just as if it had always been yours. To release doubt and resistance is to surrender fully to the creative process that is already at work in your life. Fear, impatience, and the compulsive desire to control the how of things are the greatest obstacles to manifestation. They create a tension between your inner reality and the outer world, and as long as you hold on to them, you slow the natural flow of life. Your breakthrough is not dependent on your efforts to manipulate circumstances, it is dependent on your inner state, on the faith and certainty that what you have imagined is already real. When you let go of resistance, you align with the invisible forces that are tirelessly working on your behalf. Doubt is the voice of the senses, the part of you that looks at the present moment and declares, "It is not yet here. Therefore, it cannot be." Resistance is the push against the natural current, a stubborn insistence that things must unfold in your timing or according to your plan. Both are illusions, and both are born of a misunderstanding of the creative power within you. What is coming to you cannot be hindered by your outer circumstances. Your desires are already set in motion in the unseen realm, and no amount of worry, frustration, or overthinking can alter their trajectory. The key is to trust, wholly and without reservation, that life is working in perfect order to bring you what you have imagined. Impatience is often the disguise of doubt. When you feel anxious or restless because your desire has not yet appeared, you are signaling to yourself that you do not fully believe it is possible. Yet the truth is that manifestation has its own timing, perfectly synchronized with your readiness to receive it. By letting go of impatience, you release the tension that blocks your flow, and you open yourself to the effortless unfolding of what is already destined for you. Life is infinitely intelligent. It knows the precise moment, the perfect circumstances, and the right sequence of events. to deliver your desire in the most powerful and harmonious way. Letting go of control does not mean inaction. It means action from a state of inner assurance rather than from anxiety or fear. You act with inspired guidance, taking steps that feel natural and confident rather than forcing outcomes that resist your current circumstances. Each act, taken from trust, from faith, from certainty, strengthens the alignment between your inner reality and the outer world. The moment you release doubt and resistance, you experience a profound freedom. You are no longer tethered to the limitations of what is visible. You begin to sense the invisible currents moving on your behalf, guiding people, situations, and opportunities into perfect alignment. Your desires flow toward you as effortlessly as rivers flow to the sea. The universe does not compete with resistance. It mirrors your state of consciousness. Hold steadfast in faith. Let go of fear and know with unwavering certainty that what you have imagined is already real. Your breakthrough is inevitable, and nothing in the outer world can prevent it from arriving in perfect order and timing. The universe is constantly speaking to you, sending messages and confirmations in ways that may seem subtle or even coincidental. These synchronicities, signs, unexpected opportunities, timely encounters, and meaningful coincidences are not random. They are the language of your imagination made visible in the world around you. As you study, as you read, as you talk, you should learn every time a door opens unexpectedly, every time someone appears at the right moment, every time a circumstance unfolds with perfect timing, it is a signal that your desire is drawing near. These events are confirmations that the unseen forces orchestrating your life are working in perfect harmony to bring your vision into manifestation. To recognize these synchronicities, you must first become aware and attentive. Life often passes by in a blur of activity, and without awareness, the messages of the universe go unnoticed. Pay attention to patterns, repetitions, and moments that stir your heart or mind. A phone call, an article, a conversation, or even a fleeting thought may carry profound meaning if you are present enough to notice it. Every synchronistic event is a reminder that your inner state, your assumption, your belief, your imagined reality is already influencing the outer world. The world is responding to the feeling and conviction you hold in your mind. Acknowledging these signs is as important as noticing them. When you see a confirmation, recognize it, embrace it, and allow it to strengthen your belief in what is coming. Gratitude amplifies the effect of synchronicities. The more you appreciate these signs, the more you attract experiences that align with your desired reality. Synchronicities are not just hints, they are tangible proof that your inner assumption is effective, that your inner assumption is taking shape in the outer world. They provide reassurance, fuel confidence, and remind you to stay aligned with the feeling of fulfillment you seek. Sometimes synchronicities arrive in subtle ways, almost imperceptibly, through shifts in your thinking or changes in the people around you. Other times they appear dramatically, through opportunities or encounters that seem to happen by chance, but carry extraordinary significance. The key is to trust the intelligence behind these occurrences. Life is intelligent, and it conspires to deliver your desires in the most perfect way. Nothing is wasted. Every event, every coincidence, every encounter is a piece of the larger puzzle, guiding you closer to the reality you have imagined. When you cultivate the habit of recognizing synchronicities, you begin to notice how aligned everything already is. You start to see a pattern in what once seemed random. You begin to trust life more deeply, knowing that nothing is happening by accident and that all circumstances are contributing to the fulfillment of your desire. Each sign becomes a confirmation, each coincidence a gentle nudge, and each opportunity a bridge connecting you to what you have imagined. Life is not chaotic. It is a reflection of the state of your consciousness. The more you pay attention, the more confirmations appear, and the closer your breakthrough comes to you. By recognizing and acknowledging these synchronicities, you strengthen your alignment, deepen your faith, and accelerate the arrival of your desire. Life is moving in your favor, and the signs are everywhere. You only need to see them. To act from inspired assurance is to step into life guided by confidence, intuition, and inner knowing rather than fear, doubt, or anxiety. Most people take action from a place of restlessness, worry, or desperation, hoping to force outcomes or control circumstances. But this type of action is ineffective because it is disconnected from the creative power within. True action, the kind that aligns with the forces moving in your favor, comes from inspiration. The subtle, compelling inner guidance that tells you exactly when, where, and how to move. When you act from this state, every step you take becomes a catalyst for your desires, accelerating their manifestation in ways you may not even anticipate. Inspired assurance begins with trust. You must trust that the universe is already working on your behalf and that your desire is unfolding perfectly, whether or not you see immediate results. When you take action from this trust, it carries a magnetic quality. People, circumstances, and opportunities respond effortlessly to your confidence-centered energy. Even small, seemingly ordinary steps, when taken from this state, have extraordinary power. Each action lined with your inner conviction sends a signal to the world that your desire is real and inevitable. The more consistently you act from this state, the faster life aligns to support you. The effort. It is essential to distinguish between true inspiration and impulsive or reactive behavior. Impulsive actions are often born of anxiety, impatience, or external pressure, and they rarely produce the results you want. Inspired actions, on the other hand, feel natural, clear, and effortless. They may be small and subtle, a conversation initiated, a message sent, an opportunity pursued, but they carry the energy of certainty and assurance. Even a single step taken with inner confidence can set off a chain of events that propels you closer to your desired reality. Acting from inspired assurance also requires attentiveness. The universe communicates constantly through ideas, nudges, and subtle signals. When you remain present and open, you recognize the exact moment to act. Hesitation or overthinking can block these moments, delaying the manifestation of your desires. By responding promptly to inspiration, you demonstrate faith in the unseen forces guiding you and reinforce the alignment between your inner state and outer reality. Each inspired step strengthens this connection, creating momentum that cannot be stopped. The quality of your action is far more important than quantity. You do not need to exhaust yourself with frantic efforts or overcomplicated plans. What matters is that each action comes from a place of inner certainty, aligned with the feeling of fulfillment you have already assumed. When you combine consistent, inspired action with unwavering belief, life responds with remarkable speed and precision. Doors open that were previously hidden, Opportunities appear exactly when needed, and people align themselves with your vision. Acting from inspired assurance is not just a technique, it is a state of being. It is living with confidence, trust, and inner harmony while moving through the world. The more you cultivate this state, the more effortless your progress becomes, and the closer you come to the reality you have imagined. Step forward with faith, act when inspired, and watch as life conspires in your favor, accelerating the arrival of everything you desire. To expect the extraordinary is to cultivate a consciousness that reaches beyond the limits of your current understanding and imagination. Most people set their sights on what seems reasonable, what feels attainable, or what the circumstances suggest is possible. Yet life rarely honors modest expectations. The universe operates on a scale far greater than the limitations you perceive. When you know in your heart that something big, unprecedented, and magnificent is approaching, you open yourself to receive in ways that ordinary expectation cannot allow. Your imagination is the gateway to this extraordinary reality, and your readiness to embrace it becomes the magnet that draws it toward you. Expecting the extraordinary begins with the belief that life is abundant and generous, that there are infinite possibilities awaiting your recognition. You are not merely waiting for a small improvement or a gradual change. You are claiming the reality that exceeds what you can currently see or plan. By focusing on this awareness, you align yourself with a higher frequency of manifestation, a state of being that resonates with the magnitude of your desire. The universe responds not to small, hesitant expectations, but to the boldness of those who assume greatness is already theirs. Your readiness is the secret that amplifies manifestation. It is not enough to desire something extraordinary. You must also prepare your mind, heart, and consciousness to receive it fully. Let go of limiting beliefs, doubts, or fears that diminish your capacity to accept greatness. Cultivate a sense of inner abundance, a feeling that what is coming is not only possible but inevitable. When you maintain this inner state, opportunities, people, and circumstances begin to shift to reflect the magnitude of your expectation. Life conspires to bring to you what you are ready to embrace. Expecting the extraordinary also requires living with an inner certainty that your breakthrough is imminent. Visualize it, feel it, and carry it as a reality in your imagination. The mind does not distinguish between the imagined and the experienced when the feeling is real. When you inhabit the state of having already received, the extraordinary becomes inevitable. Even events that seem ordinary begin to reveal hidden potential. Coincidences align in perfect timing, and doors that once seemed closed swing wide. Expecting the extraordinary expands your perception of possibility. It dissolves the boundaries that the world imposes and liberates you from the limitations of circumstance. Challenges no longer intimidate you because you perceive them as stepping stones rather than obstacles. You approach life with a sense of wonder and openness, ready to receive the blessings and breakthroughs that exceed your expectations. Every thought, every feeling, and every action that aligns with this expectation accelerates its manifestation. To expect the extraordinary is to claim your highest potential. It is to declare to life and to yourself that you are worthy of miracles, of sudden breakthroughs, and of remarkable success. The larger your expectation, the more life responds, for the universe always mirrors the boldness of your imagination. Hold this expectation firmly, feel it deeply, and live as if the extraordinary has already arrived. And you will witness a reality that surpasses all that you have imagined. As we draw to the close of this message, remember that everything is moving in your favor. Life is aligning perfectly, and the unseen forces are orchestrating every detail to bring your desires into reality. Trust in the process, assume the feeling of fulfillment, release doubt and resistance, recognize the signs around you, act from inspired assurance, and expect the extraordinary. Your breakthrough is not only possible, it is inevitable. The moment you have imagined is already on its way, and very soon you will witness the perfect unfolding of your vision. Stay ready, stay aligned, and embrace the magnificent reality that awaits you. Thank you.